Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the book The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. And this is the very first, if you're reading them in the order they were published, this is the very first book written in the Plantagenet and Tudor, the Wars of the Roses series. Now it's called I believe it's called the Plantagenet and Tudor series, but back in the day when this was first written, this particular series was called the Cousins War series. So this is the very first book in the Cousins War series. And this is the story of Elizabeth Woodville, who was the wife of King Edward the Fourth. And she was the grandmother of King Henry the Eighth. And it starts off when in 1464, Elizabeth is a widow, and she is trying to get her lands that were taken from her during, because her husband fought for Lancaster, and she's trying to petition the king, who is the York king, to get her lands back. And she stands at the roadside, and King Edward is just infatuated with her beauty. She had history says that she had striking features. She was very beautiful. I believe by any standards, when you look at her, I think she looks good. She has any time period, I think she looks good. And he just says, you know what, I'm gonna marry this woman. And that causes a lot of issues with people, because she's a commoner, and people want Edward to marry a French princess because they need to have an alliance. But he says, you know what, I'm gonna marry Elizabeth Woodville. And he could not, history says that he could not explain why he fell in love with Elizabeth Woodville. He just did. He just, love at first sight kind of thing. And Elizabeth Woodville has a lot of family members, and she ends up snatching all the nobility up and driving, people don't like her because of this. The nobility, the river, they call them the Rivers family. They have all this power, and a lot of people don't like that. They say that, Edward is bewitched by this enchantress and blah, blah, blah. And things of that nature. So that's basically kind of what the story is about, is the reign of King Edward the Fourth and Elizabeth Woodville. And there are a lot going on, a lot of twists and turns in this book. If you know about history, you know what's going to happen. But for me, when I first read this back in the day, I didn't know, I really didn't know about the Plantagenet that much. So and there's also an element of witchcraft in this book. Jaquetta and her mother Jaquetta, who was in The Lady of the Rivers, and Elizabeth have these powers in the book, and a lot of the stuff that happens has to do with their enchantments, and a lot of people have issues with this, but I really don't. I know it's historical fiction, it's a little out there, but it's a novel. I don't really care that much. So the one thing I kind of noticed about this whole series in general, and in this book in general, is the way Philippa Gregory, she portrays the York line as better than the Tudor line, the Lancaster line, the Tudor line, and you can kind of tell throughout the books. Elizabeth Woodville is put in a more positive light than her adversary Margaret Beaufort, who was in the Red Queen, and excuse me, you can kind of tell that maybe she thinks that the Tudors are not the rightful heirs to the throne, because Elizabeth Woodville does a lot of the same things as Margaret Beaufort. She wants the same thing, but she's put in a more sympathetic light than Margaret Beaufort, who is just this religious zealot. And another thing, this book is too long. I read this on audio and it was still very long. There are times when she's in sanctuary and that drags on for a long time, and it didn't need to be this long. It did not need to be this long, so it was just way too long. But overall, I did like this book. I read it back in the day, and I still enjoy it now. And I'm glad I got to listen to it again, and I'm glad my Audible.com account is working again. I don't know what happened, but I'm glad it's working again. So if you're into historical fiction and Philippa Gregory, I definitely would pick this up. I see some flaws in it, but overall it is very good. So I hope that you enjoyed this book review, and stay tuned for more book reviews and also more scam baiting, because those are fun. And and also, if y'all want me to do a review of the White Queen, the series, I just finished that again. So if y'all want me to do a series, just a little synopsis on that, because I've read all the books that it's based off of. So if you want me to do that, please let me know. I love talking to you guys in the comments. So thank you so much for subscribing and liking my videos and commenting. Bye guys.